Jonathan Lee Riches Investigates. I am covering the Moscow, Idaho case. There's some new information out being reported by News Nation's Ashley Banfield about how Xana perished. Xana, one of the 4 victims, how she perished that night, and key details about where the bodies were found in the house. I want to play this clip. This is for educational purposes only. I want to share this clip of this news report, and then we will discuss. Check it out.
A couple of sources with knowledge of the investigation have told News Nation some details that up until now we did not know. Let me lay a few of these details out, but I do want to warn you that this is graphic information and it is uncomfortable to hear this because we're talking about innocent kids who were killed in that home back in October. And not only that, this is evidence that likely will come out in court at some point. Whether it will be germane to who the killer is or not, that remains to be seen. But it could be evidence nonetheless. With that in mind, let me let you know what these sources have told News Nation. Number one, they told us that the victims, Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogan, were killed first, and they confirmed that Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were killed on the second floor afterwards. And these are some of the other details that they have released. They said that Ethan Chapin was killed in the doorway of Xana Kernodle's room before the killer set upon Xana. The sources say that it appeared Ethan had stepped partly into the hallway where the attack may have begun. These sources also say that Ethan Chapin suffered a slash to the neck. But I have to say that both of these details are in direct conflict with what the coroner had originally told us right here on this program exclusively. And also, they conflict directly with what police have said as well. And those two facts that are in conflict are that all of the victims were in their beds, according to police and the coroner. And according to the coroner, all of the injuries were stab wounds and not slash wounds. So I just want to play for you exactly what it was the coroner said in her words. Were any of them slashed? Were any of their necks cut? Or were these all puncture wounds?
Well, it was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. And they were definitely stabbings.
Can you tell me, when you say that they might have been sleeping, were they found in beds?
Yes.
So those were the facts that the coroner told us. And like I said, it is in direct conflict with what these two sources familiar with the investigation are now telling us as well. That obviously needs to be sorted out and likely best in a court of law as well. Also want to tell you these other details that we have learned from these two sources, that Xana Kernodle put up a fierce fight when the attacker set upon her, repeatedly grabbing the attacker's knife, so much so that she sustained deep cuts to her fingers and that her fingers were nearly severed. Now, that does actually work in comport with what Xana's father had reported to an Arizona news outlet.
So you heard the report. News Nation is citing 2 anonymous sources. I don't personally like it when news networks and media outlets use anonymous sources with breaking bombshell information, because what was just reported, the public has not been aware of that prior. So they're using 2 anonymous sources. So I don't know if I necessarily, believe that. But say it's true. Then you got that report contradicting what the coroner, Kathy Mabut, the Latah County coroner, said to them prior. And they shared what the coroner said prior. And, you know, the coroner has not been honest about a lot of things about this case. The coroner was wrong about the times of death. The coroner was on record saying the times of death happened between 3 and 4 a.m. The stabbings happened after 4 a.m., according to the affidavit of probable cause. Do you believe these anonymous sources? Do you believe what was reported by Ashley Banfield? A lot of new stuff coming out about this case, recent stuff, because a lot of this information, for instance, there's a gag order in the case. So, if they're law enforcement sources that told News Nation these key details, would they be in violation of the gag order? Because there's a gag order in place for people not to talk about the case. So I'm just wondering who the sources are. And if they were law enforcement, shouldn't anyone be investigated for releasing information that shouldn't be released about the case? I'm just wondering that. Now, there's not much information out right now about the Kohberger case because of the gag order. So I think a lot of journalists, and including content creators like myself, are trying to find new stuff to put out because you want to stay relevant in reporting this case and talking about this case. So, I'm just very mindful of what comes out now moving forward to there's actually a court hearing, because I think people just want to keep their name in the spotlight while reporting cases. Not saying that's the case with News Nation, not saying what they're saying right now in this report that I just shared is fake, but I'm questioning. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button. I'm covering the Kohberger case. Anything everyone else puts out, I'll share with you guys and give my analysis. I'd love to hear yours. Let's talk. Everyone be safe. God bless.